Black America, John Lewis here again with Xknown, and I'd like to welcome you to Xcast, Voices of the Unforgotten, Episode 9, and today we'll be talking about Mary McLeod Bethune. She built power with books when the world offered her poverty instead. And this episode here is in honor of Women's International Day coming up here on March 8th and Women's History Month. And I also like to give a shout out to Rachel, my recovery nurse from yesterday. Just like to thank you for your contribution to your profession and to society as a lady in general. Thank you. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Picture a little girl walking miles to school before the sun is fully up. No paved roads, no school bus, no guarantee that the door will even be open when she arrives. But she walks anyway, barefoot sometimes, hungry often, determined always. She doesn't yet know that one day she will advise presidents, build a college, shape national policy, and speak directly into the highest rooms of power in America. Right now, she only knows this: education is her way out, and education will become her way back in to lift everyone up with her. Now that's what's up. Her name was Mary McLeod Bethune, and she didn't just change her own life. She built platforms for millions. Now, Mary was born in 1875 in South Carolina, just 10 years after the end of slavery. Her parents had been enslaved. Her family worked as sharecroppers. Poverty was not a phase of her childhood. It was the environment. She was one of 17 children growing up in a tiny house with few books and even fewer options. Every day was a labor. Every future seemed already assigned. Survival became before dreams. What separated Mary from that destiny was one moment. As a little girl, she saw a white child reading a book. Curious, she reached for it. The child slapped the book out of her hands and said the words that burned permanently into Mary's memory. Black people don't read. Instead of shrinking, Mary absorbed fire. From that moment forward, she wanted to read everything because she understood something that most children are never forced to realize so early. Illiteracy was not just a disadvantage, it was a weapon used against her people. Mary walked miles to attend school at a mission for newly freed Black children. She studied relentlessly and prayed fearlessly. Hunger didn't distract her. Blisters didn't stop her. Her teachers noticed the hunger in her mind and the discipline in her spirit. She earned a scholarship to attend Scotia Seminary in North Carolina, one of the few institutions educating Black girls at the time. She pushed further, later studying at the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. She believed she would become a missionary in Africa, carrying education across oceans. But when her application was denied, not for lack of skill, but because Black missionaries were not prioritized, Mary didn't break. She recalculated. If she couldn't go overseas to change the world, she would change it at home. Mary understood a truth that would become the foundation of her entire life. If you educate Black women, you educate families. If you educate families, you stabilize communities. If you stabilize communities, you threaten systems built on ignorance and control. So she chose education as her battlefield. And in 1904, with just $1.50, 5 students, and a rented house in Daytona Beach, Florida, she opened a school for Black girls. There was no funding, no institutional protection, no safety net, just belief. Students sat on the crates for desks. The curriculum blended academics with practical survival and leadership training. That small, fragile school would grow, survive fires and threats, and eventually become what is now known as Bethune-Cookman University. What began as 5 students in a rented house became a fully accredited college. That's not luck. That's construction. White supremacist groups threatened her school. At one point, members of the Ku Klux Klan marched toward the building. Instead of fleeing, Mary stood at the door, unshaken, and they turned away. Her school survived storms, financial collapse, political resistance, and relentless pressure. But it survived because Mary didn't build it as charity. She built it as infrastructure. Mary didn't stop at education alone. She understood that buildings without power remain vulnerable. Policy spoke a different language, so she mastered it. She founded the National Council of Negro Women, creating a unified national network of Black women across education, law, medicine, labor, and politics. She wasn't simply inspiring women, she was organizing power across the country. Her leadership soon reached the federal government. During the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed Mary as director of the Division of Negro Affairs for the National Youth Administration. She became the first Black woman to lead a federal agency in American history. Let that sink in. This position wasn't ceremonial, it was operational. She controlled budgets, she directed policy, she shaped the futures of thousands of Black youth through education, training, and employment pipelines. Mary expanded access across multiple sectors: civil service, vocational programs, leadership training, and higher education funding. Under her leadership, federal money finally flowed into Black communities that had been excluded for generations. She didn't offer charity, she built pipelines. Mary also became part of what was known as the Black Cabinet, a coordinated group of African American advisors influencing federal policy from the inside. This was a structural breakthrough. For the first time, Black leaders were not simply protesting from outside the government. They were shaping policy from within it. Through this network, Mary translated community crises into federal priorities: job discrimination, educational exclusion, housing instability, youth unemployment, and civil rights enforcement. And during World War II, Mary advised on Black military participation and youth mobilization. She pushed for inclusion in officer training programs and advocated for fair treatment of Black soldiers overseas. Her influence moved beyond domestic policy and into international human rights framing. She later served as a U.S. delegate to the founding conference of the United Nations, helping shape global conversations on dignity, racial equality, and women's empowerment. The daughter of a sharecropper now walked inside global diplomacy. Despite her visibility, Mary lived under constant pressure. She was surveilled, she was criticized in racist newspapers, she was accused of overstepping boundaries that were never meant for Black women to cross. But she didn't retreat. She believed respect was seized through results, not requested through obedience. Her leadership model was multi-layered and still unmatched. She built institutions. She shaped federal policy. She mobilized women nationally. She directed economic resources. She trained the next generation of leaders. She shaped global dialogue. She proved that activism without systems is fragile, but activism with infrastructure becomes permanent. By the time of her death in 1955, Mary had left behind a university, national women's organizations, federal youth programs, international diplomatic influence, and a blueprint for Black power in America, political Black power in America. Her final message read, "I leave you love, I leave you hope. I leave you the challenge of developing confidence in one another." That was not a farewell. That was a charge. Mary teaches us that education is not only instruction, it's infrastructure for dignity. It's protection against erasure. It is leverage against injustice. It's a supply line for power. If you're building a brand, a school, a nonprofit, a program, a movement, a platform, or a community, Mary's life says, start with what you have, scale with systems, protect your integrity, and aim at institutions, not applause. Mary McLeod Bethune shattered ceilings of gender, race, education, and federal authority all at once. She didn't seek validation. Her results validated her. She didn't chase the spotlight. She built foundations that made the spotlight possible for others. This Women's History Month, we remember that the doors women walk through today were built by women like Bethune. Women who turned visions into institutions, courage into policy, and determination into lasting change. Her legacy reminds us that when women lead with purpose, they don't just break barriers, they build pathways for generations to come. So go to Xknown.com right now, read the mission statement, look through the Share the Knowledge page, copy and repost that link because it's on us to do it because they won't. I'm gonna say that again. Go to Xknown.com right now, read the mission statement, look through the Share the Knowledge page, copy and repost that link because it's on us to share it because they won't. And then wear the legacy. Let people ask you what that crest means. And then tell them. Tell them about Mary McLeod Bethune. Tell them how she built a college from $1.50 in faith. Tell them how she advised presidents when Black women were supposed to be invisible. Tell them how classrooms became weapons against injustice. Tell them how education became power. Tell them why she still matters. Tell them we will not forget. This is Xknown. For the people they tried to erase, for the people they tried to distort, for the people they tried to turn into warnings, but couldn't.